Goldilocks Productions broadcasts universal cosmic frequencies that unlock, awaken, and expand the consciousness of our worldwide viewers and listeners.
Are you ready to experience motivation, magic, miracles, and messages from Spirit? Discover the hidden secrets of astrology, numerology, destiny cards, and more. Learn how to use ancient wisdom for the modern world. You are entering into the higher realms with Jeremy Ryden.
Welcome to Higher Realms, everyone, where we study all things metaphysical, holistic, spiritual. I am excited because tonight I have someone that I have personally followed several years on Facebook. I consider Jerome Braggs to be one of the leading spiritual teachers on self-love. I call him the self-love guru. I don't know if he goes by that title or not, but his messages are so transparent, authentic, relevant, and powerful. And if you're looking to heal your life on a deeper level, that's going to affect your relationships, your marriage, your dating life, all the other relationships in your life, Jerome's going to first start with the relationship with yourself. So get ready to share this on Facebook right now. Put it on your Facebook wall, share it on your YouTube, and let's get right into the man, the legend, the teacher, Jerome Braggs. Welcome, Jerome.
Thank you, Jeremy. It's glad to be here.
You know, I have, as I said, I have followed you for a long time. I love your messages. You know, going through your website, one of the things I know that you call yourself is an intuitive well-being guide. An intuitive well-being guide. Can you just give us a lowdown for everyone that are just joining Higher Realms tonight and they're just now being introduced to the work you do? What does this title mean, intuitive well-being guide?
Yeah, so I am, first and foremost, I'm a guide to well-being. So I help people travel the path to well-being. Well-being to me means a life that is healthy, a life that is happy, and a life that feels good to you. What I like to call a life that actually feels delicious to you. And so that is my work. And I do that. I'm an intuitive. I read energy. I see energy. I work with energy. And so how I do that is I can help people through understanding what their energy is and where it's out of an alignment with who they really are, travel the path of self-love to well-being. So that's what I do as an intuitive guide. I really teach people how to travel the path of self-love to higher and more delicious levels of well-being.
Well, I don't know about you people. I like delicious. So let's get right on into the dessert right off the bat. You have a saying on your website that I love, and it says, self-love your way there. Self-love your way there. What do you mean about creating a delicious life, and how does that play with self-loving yourself to that deliciousness?
Well, delicious life, one thing I believe in that I was shown in my near-death experience is that you are a soul, all of us, each of us, no matter what your color is, no matter what your gender is, no matter what your sexuality is, no matter what your belief system is, you are a soul, meaning you are literally a part of source, or you can call it a part of God, a part of creator, whatever you want to call it. You are part of that. You are the expression of that in the physical form. And as a soul, you are here, you have incarnated into this lifetime to live a delicious experience. You are supposed to have a life experience that really tastes good to you, that really feels good to you. The entirety of it, not just pieces of it, but all of it. And the only way and if you're not experiencing that type of experience, if you're not living that type of experience now, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means that you're not traveling the right path. And the only path that leads to a delicious life, one that works well for you, that tastes good to you, and one where you are well within it, is self-love, is to love yourself. That is the only way there. It is the only key. Without it, when you don't love yourself, your life is not going to work well. You're not going to have a delicious life. You're going to have a life of struggle. You're going to have a life of suffering. You're going to have a life of pain. And again, not because that's what you deserve or that's something wrong with you. You're just not embodying the right path to that. You're not taking the right path. You don't have the right key that opens the door to that. And it is the only key that opens it. So that's why I say self-love your way there, because that's the only way there. And again, as an intuitive guide, I teach people, I help people travel that path. I teach them how to do that.
See, that's what makes Jerome Braggs different than the rest. Because I've been watching you, Jerome, for a long time, and you do exactly what you just said. You teach people how to love themselves. You'll hear a lot of people talk about self-love because it's a very easy thing to say, but there's no teaching about it. About what does this look like? How do I deal with it? And I love the fact that you are saying, hey, self-love's the way, but let me show you strategies. Let me show you what self-love looks like and what it doesn't look like. And I love one of the things you talk about on your website is the 5 routes or the 5 ways to self-love. I know we can't go into all of those in depth, but can you just hit the 5 things? Now, listen, people, he just said you need a delicious life. And if you're not loving your life, you deserve to love it. But Jerome's going to share in a minute 5 little thoughts about how we get there with self-love. And of course, each one of these thoughts could be a whole episode, but we're just going to hit it to get you started on the path. Jerome?
Yeah, so before I share that, I want to really, because you said something really important, I think it's really important to talk about, which is most of us don't actually understand what loving ourselves actually means. And I think we've gotten a lot of misinformation about that, not just in our schooling, but even in the spirituality field, even in the metaphysical field, which are my fields, which are, by the way, I work within. Those are my tribes. But I know for a fact that we're not really teaching what it actually is. And so there's a lot of misunderstanding around it. And this is what I learned coming out of, so why it's important to me in the first place is because I had a near-death experience. And in my near-death experience, I was told that the key to healing myself and to really living a delicious life for my own self was to love myself, and that I didn't know anything about that and that I was going to learn, and that I was going to be called to teach what I learned eventually, that was going to become a part of my life purpose. And so my journey was all about, after my near-death experience, I had a multi-year mystical journey where I went into deep levels of understanding what it really is and what it's not, and seeing how, what I've been taught about this is not actually what it is. And here are some missing pieces to it. And so that's why I teach it. And so for some people, they say, wow, I've never heard anything like this before, or this is really beyond what I've understood, because we're not really taught what it is. And so I want to share something about what it is before I talk about the path.
Oh, please.
So what loving ourselves really, so this is the thing to really understand. Love is the energy, is the vibration, is the frequency of God, of source. It is the frequency of source. It is what you are made of. It is what you are literally made of. It is what this universe is created out of. Love is the energy of source. And so when you're talking about loving yourself, it is the energy of your soul. It is the energy and the truth and the consciousness of your very soul. So when we're talking about loving ourselves, what it really is you are learning, you're doing things to embody the energy of your soul, to express the energy of your soul in your life, and to feed and expand it. That is what loving yourself is. This is why it's so much more than self-care. And this is why a lot of times self-care isn't actually loving ourselves. This is why it's so much more than what you eat. This is why it's so much more than the physical stuff. When people say, I did this vacation, I bought this vacation, or I drink my green juice, but you're drinking this green juice, but you don't have loving thoughts about yourself. You're drinking your green juice, but you're not working in a job that you really love. You're doing a job that stresses you out. You're doing this green juice, but you're not working, you're not in your passions, you're not trusting yourself, so this is why this stuff that we have, where a lot of the things we talk about with self-care isn't actually in alignment with self-love, because self-love is not about these physical necessary actions we do. It's about embodying my soul's energy, expressing my soul through my life, and feeding it so that it expands. That is what loving yourself actually really is. So when you ask me what the 5 paths, so what my journey taught me was there are 5 routes to that. There are 5 paths, really, that lead you back home to the embodiment of the love energy that you are, and that help you express that love energy, or that help you feed it in some type of way. And so the first path, the first route, which is the foundational route, because if you really don't have this path, if you're really not traveling this path, it's really hard to get any of the other ones in place. But the first path is to cherish yourself. And cherishing yourself is about adoring yourself, having thoughts and beliefs about yourself that really cherish you, that really make you feel like adored, that really appreciate you, that accept you, that uplift and affirm you, instead of that shame you, instead of that make you feel less than and disempowered. You know, and a lot of us, we don't live in especially if you're in the West, we don't live in a culture that externally teaches you how to do that. Our culture really is about teaching you how to feel less than and not enough, and to always try to seek your approval externally. So you're seeking it in other external conditions. You know, you try to find it in your work, you try to find it in your looks, you try to find it in what these other people, their praise and approval. And while those things are I'll say they are important in that, you know, it does feed you to receive appreciation and praise externally. But when you don't have it internally, what ends up happening is you're starved. You become starved of cherishment. And what ends up happening when you become starved of cherishment is you try to feed yourself with approval. And when you try to feed yourself with approval, what ends up happening is that's when you start to betray yourself. You'll start to suppress pieces of yourself. If you think that a piece of your natural self will not get you any type of approval or belonging from other people, you'll suppress aspects of yourself. So you'll start to feel imprisoned. You'll feel in bondage. That's when your energy starts to get blocked, and that's when you start to get sick. And that's when you start to not be able to manifest things that you want. So this is why this is the foundational root. Cherishing yourself, learning how to feel enough, how to appreciate all of yourself unconditionally, how to accept all of yourself, and to see all of this as valuable, to see it all as good, not just my body, but my personality, my intellect, what I have or don't have. Right? Can I take all of that and see all of that as divine? Can I see all of it as worthy? Because it is. Can I appreciate it and value it? Or I'm always picking apart something. Am I always saying something's not enough, something's not adequate, something's not less than? And again, when you do that, every time you judge yourself, every time you shame yourself, every time you less than yourself, you drain the piece of your soul's energy out of your body. And so you don't have your soul's energy enough. And so you cannot, again, your soul's energy is the frequency of love. And the frequency, the higher frequency, and this is what raises your vibration. We hear a lot about that in the metaphysical terms and all of that. This is another reason why loving ourselves is so important, because it is actually the secret. It's actually the real secret.
Yes.
Because how the universe works is you have to feel good in order to manifest good, right? You have to feel good to manifest good. We all kind of know you have to have a higher vibration in order to manifest things. Well, it's impossible to feel good if you don't feel good about yourself.
Yes.
It's impossible. You can drink all the green juice. You can take all the walks in the nature. You can do all of that. But if the constant stories in your head are, I'm not enough, I'm not attractive enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not masculine enough, I'm not feminine enough, whatever that is, if you have those stories in, if you have an I am not enough story anywhere in your body, your vibration is coming down. And you won't ever be able to manifest your highest good from there, because your highest energy is love. That is the highest energy you can get. And that is your soul's energy. And your soul's energy is right in alignment with you being enough. And so the first route, the foundational route, is cherish. You got to learn how to cherish yourself first to really start to feel worthy and adored and enough in all areas. And then you begin to get to some of the other roots of self-love, but that's the first one.
By God. People, are you understanding why I love this man? I can say I love him. He's from my soul. It just is so blessed. Listen to how you talk, Jerome. I don't know if you listen to it, but you use the word cherish, but the words you choose are so cherished, so loving, so gentle, empowering. And I love that first one, cherish yourself. He said, you can notice if you're not cherishing yourself by the stories you're telling in your head. And so maybe one of the things we could do to raise our vibration is to start monitoring our thoughts and just simply say, is this an empowering thought or is this a disempowering thought? Is this a loving thought or is this an unloving thought? And some people may say, oh, that's so simple. Well, guess what? Most powerful truths are. They're simple. It's just doing the practice, doing the work. Oh my goodness. I just love that. Keep going on, Drew. Give us some more. I don't want to butt in. This is too good.
Yeah. So I love that. I want to piggyback on what you said, because I love that. It's always like one thing I teach my clients to do is ask yourself, if I really believed I was enough, would I think this way? Would I say this about myself? If I really believed, if I really loved myself and I felt good about myself, would I say this about myself? Would I still believe this about myself? And the answer almost always is no. And what would I think instead? What would I think if I really loved myself? Or what would I do here? Or what would I say about myself if I really felt enough? And that can begin to shift yourself out of those stories of shame or disempowerment or whatever that is that you have, that you're trying to shift yourself so that you can cherish yourself more. You begin to just put yourself in the seat of your soul who loves you. By the way, your soul never joins you in those thoughts. Your soul is the part of you who never forgets who you really are. And so it has not forgotten your lovability, and it has not forgotten your deep worthiness. And so it never feels that way about you, which is why those thoughts feel bad, because you're not in alignment. You're not in alignment with the soul. Your soul is trying to come into the body and stay here. And when you have thoughts that are not in alignment with it, you have an emotional response that says, ooh, this doesn't feel good. And that's your signal that this is not in alignment with my soul. This is not in alignment with love. That's your very signal. So it's very easy to figure out what thoughts are not loving because they don't feel good.
Yeah.
So that's the first kind of signal to help you. If is this story that I'm telling about myself, or this thought that I'm having about myself, does it make me feel good when I think it? And if it does not make me feel good, then it is not in alignment with love. And when I say feel good, we're talking about emotionally, internally. Emotionally, do I feel at peace? Do I feel at ease when I think about this? Do I feel happy? Does my shoulders relax? Do I breathe deeper? Or am I more stressed? Am I tighter? Am I afraid? And so that's the key for that. Now, another root that is hardly talked about is trust. Trust is an aspect of loving yourself, trusting yourself and trusting life. And it's understandable why a lot of us don't trust, because a lot of us grew up in families where we couldn't be all of ourselves. It may have been you couldn't be an aspect of your sexuality. And what I mean by you couldn't be all of yourself is there were conditions on what you could express and receive full love back, receive belonging and love back. So as a kid, you were raised to believe that there were only pieces of yourself that you could express into the world and be safe and receive belonging and love. So that may be pieces of your sexuality, it may be pieces of your identity. Maybe you were really weird, right? Maybe you liked, maybe you were that, right?
Bingo.
Some people may have been highly intuitive or psychic and they grew up in a really religious family. Some people might have been, their family was into sports and they were into electronics, or they were into wizards and, unicorns. Some people may have been, whatever it was. And so if there were aspects of your personality or your identity or even your body, right? You may have grown up in a place where the things that was affirmed and that was sought after was a thin body and you didn't have a thin body, or it may have been a thicker body and you had a thin body. So you grew up not thinking that all of yourself was safe in this world to be. And so what you started to do from that is there began a belief that this world is not safe, because you began to project that the world is like my family, like my family or like my upbringing. But here's the truth: this world is a lot safer than what we were made to believe it is. And this world is a very safe place, and this universe loves you. This is the thing that we got disconnected from in our upbringing, is that life loves you. You knew it as a child. The babies know it. They expect good to happen to them. They expect exciting things to come around every corner. They know they're lovable. This is why we love babies, because they exude the energy of lovability. They hold their worthiness in already. So they understand that, and then they get socialized out of that. And you begin to believe that life doesn't love you unconditionally, that you have to do things in order for life to love you, in order to receive your good. You have to either work really hard, or you have to be really attractive, or you have to not be too feminine, or you have to not be too masculine, or you have to not be this, or you have to be this. And so there's conditions. You begin to put conditions on your worthiness. But a part of loving yourself is understanding that there is no conditions on your worthiness. You are unconditionally worthy, and life loves you already. You don't have to make it. You don't have to do anything to make life love you. You are not only safe, but that life is delivering your good. If you want it, you can receive it. And you don't have to jump through hoops to do that. That's one part of trust. That's one part of the path of loving yourself, is beginning to understand that life loves you.
Jerome, I literally feel like I'm standing on holy ground. And I'm sure that you've heard this before. And I'm seeing a lot of comments from people that are expressing how much they're being touched right now, how they're feeling your words very deeply. Literally, you are somebody. I would encourage everyone that's listening to this live to replay this show over and over again, because you literally can feel the healing love come out of Jerome's mouth. As he's talking, you just can't help but to feel just areas go deep, deep down in your soul. And almost like some of us have been in a dry desert and so chapped and so thirsty. And it's like just the essence of Jerome's true love, him being connected to the love that he is, that we all are. And him sharing that is just so healing. I just thank you, Jerome. I mean, I just wanted to pause and let you know what a beautiful fact. I'm also pausing because I said to everyone, whether you're watching this on Facebook, YouTube, Periscope, or all the different podcasts, I said, I believe this man right here is one of the few teachers. I know there are others, but one of the few that I have come across watching through the last several years that is a teacher of self-love and teaches it on such a profound and moving way. And he actually has a self-love academy. And I would like you to go to his website. If we can put that up, it's actually his name that you're looking down right there, JeromeBraggs.com. We can place his website up. If you would go to that website, you can see that there's an open enrollment for his Self-Love Academy that's starting in October. If there was ever a class, a course, some education, some spiritual insight, this right here is probably the most important foundational, life-changing teaching. Self-Love Academy. We got it right there here it is right down here on the bottom of the screen. That is the website you want to go to. That is the link. You know, while I'm bringing this up, not to take you out of the flow, can you tell us a little bit about this phenomenal work you're doing with Self-Love Academy coming up in October?
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited about Self-Love Academy because I think this is probably my greatest offering yet. I think this is not just about the offering, but when I had my near-death experience and I had a conversation with Source on the other side, one thing Source said to me was that the key to all healing and all well-being is to love ourselves wholly. and that I did not know anything about that yet, but I was going to learn. My journey was going to teach me that, and that there was going to come a point where I was going to be asked to teach everything that I learned, that I was going to be asked to teach it, and that would become, the teaching of it will become a large part of my purpose here on the planet. And it took me many years to go through my own journey to really understand all the different aspects of what loving ourselves actually is, what it really takes, and to know that I know that I know that I know that it transforms and that it heals everything. And I'm not kidding. I'm talking about everything in your body, everything in your relationships, everything in your money, everything in your dreams, everything in your manifestations, that it is the most transformative and healing practice on the planet. And in this academy, I am going to teach everything that I know about how to do it. You're going to learn in depth how to travel all 5 of those routes. I just shared with you the first, the 2 of them, but you're going to learn how to cherish yourself very deeply. You're going to learn how to heal your wounds of I am not enough and whatever trauma you have around that. You're going to learn how to trust yourself. You're going to learn how to reconnect to the truth that life loves you, and to really trust your intuition so that you make soul-aligned decisions. You're going to understand boundaries and how to set sacred boundaries, and understand that boundaries are a part of loving yourself. They help you hold the energy of your soul in your body. You're going to understand how to nourish yourself and feed your soul's energy. You're going to learn how to, all the different aspects of love, how to get in contact with your spirit guides so that you are in communication and in community with all the different levels of beings that love you, and all the different experiences of love that are available to you in this one dimension of life. You're going to learn I'm really, really excited about it. It's where you're going to get to ask me questions live. We've got, you're going to get coached from me. You're going to get intuitive guidance from me live as well in this academy. You'll be able to get that one-on-one as well. I'll be teaching some Afro beat fitness in there and Zumba fitness in there. I've got somebody teaching energy healing in there. I've got somebody teaching breath work in there. And I've also got master teachers, a featured master teacher will be teaching a class every month, somebody that I personally either learned from myself in my journey, or someone I know and I know personally, and I know that their offering is medicine. It is a medicine. Not just it is a talking head, but their stuff is actually medicine for you. And so I have someone coming in once a month, a different person coming in once a month, teaching in that.
Is this a once a month class, a weekly class, bi-weekly? Give us.
So you'll meet weekly. So you'll meet with me weekly, once a week. And also there are other things like the dance fitness and the energy work and the breath work. You can do all of that. We'll have some of those teachers just coming in monthly, but you have access to all of that in the academy. You have access to all the classes as long as you're in the academy. You have access to all of them. You can review them as many times as you want. You can go over them as many times as you want. And the Q&A stuff, you have Q&A with me. You have a private Facebook community where you get to connect with the other people that are in this academy who are doing the work, and have a tribe, because it's very important to have a tribe of people who understand what you're going through and understand what you're doing. And you can build friendships and families and whatever else you want to do with that.
I love it. I love it.
So it's a lot of good stuff in there.
And that starts in October, the academy.
The first class starts in the beginning of October, but the enrollment is open now. If you enroll now, you won't be charged for this month. You'll be charged starting in October, and it's monthly, so you get a charge every month. But you can dip in if you just say, "Hey, I like this month and I'm out." Great. We'd love to have you. If you're in it forever, great. Love to have you. But there's no contract you have to sign to be in this the whole time. You're in it for the month, and then it recurs, and you can always sign back up or sign out.
So once again, go to his website if that's something that interests you. I do want to get a shout out for everyone that watches the Goldilocks production channel, because that's our soul tribe. And all you that watch Higher Realms on Tuesday night, I love you. You're part of my soul tribe. But I absolutely would encourage you to look at Jerome Braggs' schooling, his website, and all of that. let me just hit on two things he said and let him continue a little more in this wonderful, wonderful interview. One thing he said was that about, what was that first one? Gracious, or what was that first route there when we were talking? Cherish. And I said gracious because I think we could be more gracious with ourselves than what we are. And if you cherish yourself, you need to be more graceful with yourself. But here's one thing I would tell people. It's going to be hard for you to cherish yourself if you allow yourself to be in an environment that doesn't cherish you. Mm-hmm. And so if you stay in relationships and friendships around family that are constantly not valuing you as the unique essence of God that you are, you're going to have a struggle. And so I remember this. I had to break up with someone. And I know some of you are asking, yes, I'm still single, hard to believe. But I did break up with someone in the past because, you know why I broke up with them, Jerome? Because they had a problem with my laugh. they were like, man, you laugh. I laugh loud. I admit it. I got a loud laugh. When it comes over, it just bellows out. And they were a little bit more like, oh, we're out in public. Can't you just quiet the laugh? And I knew in that moment, trying to change my laugh and trying to change the essence of the bubbly joy, this is not a relationship that's for me. And so, that may sound a little nitpicky, but I want to let every lady and every man out there, if you're with, so it's one thing where we try to better one another, help one another, encourage one another. But if you're in a relationship where the man or the woman is basically trying to change fundamental aspects of your personality, then you need to get out of that relationship. And that's my personal experience. I also like how you talk about trust, because really, where do we have problem with trust? Because the problem with trust is Jerome says that the highest frequency, the highest level, the whole level of God is love, that love energy. And the problem is when God begins to move, source, universe, begins to move in ways that we're not sure of. See, a lot of times when God starts to do changes in our life for us on our behalf, we become scared and we hold on to things that we know we should let go of because we don't trust that Spirit has our best interests at heart. If we truly trust that Spirit loves us so much and that it's not out to hurt us, that when it begins to dissolve that relationship, when it begins to remove that job, when it begins to bring a change that you are not sure is what it's going to lead to, it challenges that control issue of, do you really believe that love has your back? I want to encourage you to trust the process even when you're scared about the outcome. Trust the process even when you're frightened about the lack of control, because Spirit truly is not out to hurt you. And maybe church has hurt you. Maybe people in religion have hurt you. Maybe people that were meaning well hurt you. But Spirit is never out to punish you. And so, open up to Spirit again. I'm going to turn it right back over to you, Jerome. We got another half an hour here. We're here on the Higher Realms with Jerome Braggs, and he's a phenomenal intuitive wellness guide. And, I'm just so thankful you're here. What else is on your mind? If you want to keep going down the route or anywhere else you want to go, you just lead us, my friend.
Well, I actually was very interested in the two things you just said. So I want to speak to those a bit. The first part of it is you talked about completing a relationship. I don't believe in breakups. I believe in completions, that this relationship is complete. It has done what it has done what it's come to do, or it has done as far as it can do to serve my well-being. So I want to speak to something that you said, because something that when you begin to love yourself, what you begin to understand is that you deserve to be drunk whole. And what I mean by that is the wholeness of your being deserves to be accepted and experienced by somebody and welcomed in your relationships. So I do not enter into any relationships where somebody cannot drink me whole, where they cannot accept me. And not saying that I didn't didn't used to before, because I definitely did, right? I definitely used to suppress myself before I learned to fully love myself. I definitely used to suppress myself. I was seeking approval from others. I would, try and get these other things and rearrange myself in order to have this person in my life. But there's two things to understand when we do things like this. One, we'll never really know what love is when we don't ever offer our full selves.
That's good.
Because only when you offer your full self and somebody takes that full self and they cherish it, will you really be able to know what love is, and will you really be able to remember that your full self is worthy of being cherished? That's the first thing. The other thing is, again, you're not here to be sipped to death. And what I call by sipped to death is there's just pieces of you that people can take. There's just pieces of you that you offer in your relationships, but you suppress. I used to do this very well. I used to hide my intuitive gifts because I thought a lot of people couldn't handle that. I used to hide aspects of my sexuality because I thought people around me couldn't really handle that, or they would reject that. I wouldn't speak up. I would play very small. Because a lot of times I would disagree with what people were saying, or I had a larger view of what, especially after my near-death experience, my whole viewpoint of how this world works and how everything worked changed. And it was very different from what anybody else was talking about and what anybody else was living, but I would suppress it. I wouldn't talk about it. I wouldn't share it because I didn't want to rock the boat, or I still was wanting that approval. And what ended up happening is when you do that, you put yourself in bondage and you start to not feel free. You start to lose joy in your life. You start to not be loved fully, and you only are loved in a certain aspect of yourself, and you're not really loving yourself. And that's not why you're here. You're here for the delicious expression of your whole self. Your soul did not incarnate here to play to be somebody else. It incarnated here to be the expression of itself fully in the world. And so you're to shine the light of your soul fully. And if anybody can't accept that, which is what I call drinking in you whole, you don't dim your light. They either put on some shades or they have to move on. That's how this is how this is, right? Because there are people who this is when the more you love yourself, the more you start to see that you shine your light brightly. And what ends up happening is that light, instead of you having to go around and try to find somebody to give you approval, it draws all these people in that say, oh my God, you are worthy and you are beautiful and we appreciate you and we value you and we support you. And that only happens when you fully love yourself enough to express all of yourself and to understand that my light is safe in this world. I am safe here in this world. It is safe for me to shine my light. And when you shine it, even if the people that are here right now can't take it, I know that one of two things is going to happen. Either they'll put on shades and they'll be able to handle it eventually, or they'll move out of the way. And the people that will be drawn to me. And here's the thing about that. What happens, especially when you've lived a life, which most of us have, you lived a life where you've not been fully cherished for who you really are. You've not been fully accepted and appreciated for who you are. When you finally express all of who you are, unedited, unabashed, unapologetically, you be all of yourself in the world. The people that are drawn to you will show you levels of love that you never knew was possible. You never knew existed before, and it will be more delicious than you could have imagined. But the key is to love yourself enough to express your whole self. And that is to live your truth, to live all of it. And your truth was your laughter. That is a part of my truth. I will live that, by the way, I'm talking about another path of love. The truth is another path of love, to express your full truth. So your truth was your love, but that's your laughter is a part of and if you can't handle my truth, it doesn't mean something is wrong with me. It means you are not in resonance with me. It means you cannot drink me whole. And that doesn't mean there's something wrong with you either. It just means that you are not for me and I am not for you. Whether you're family or lover or coworker or business or friend, I deserve to be drunk whole. And the universe knows that. And all I have to do is shine my full self out and and not suppress myself anymore, not dim my light, not hide myself under a bushel. No, right? As the song goes, hide myself under a bushel. No, I'm going to shine my light, and the universe will say, there he is. Here's all the people that he deserves that will nourish and feed and support him and love him beyond how he even knew he could be loved. So that's the first thing I wanted to share with you. The second thing was about a key part that I learned in my journey that really shifted my entire life was understanding that I am lovable and life loves me. Because when I really understood, when I really began to cherish myself and understand that I am lovable as is, nothing needs to change about me in order for me to be loved and to receive my good. And that life loves me already as is not requiring anything else. When I began to do that, the level of surrender and trust that I operate in my life began to take an exponential dive into miraculous levels. I trust life so much today, more than probably you've ever seen anybody else, because I know that I'm loved. And so when something happens, I know that this too will work out in my favor because life loves me. So if life loves me, what does love mean? What does it mean when I love somebody? See, here's the two things I know that when you love somebody, this is what you want most of all. When you love somebody, you want them to be happy, you want them to be healthy, and you want them to experience well-being. When you truly love somebody, those are the three things you want more than anything else. You want them to be happy, you want them to be healthy, you want them to experience well-being. So if life loves me, then this experience, even though it may not be what I preferred, even though it may not be comfortable for me right now, it's leading me into a higher level of happiness somehow, a higher level of health somehow, and a higher level of well-being somehow. I know this because I know life loves me. And I don't care what it looks like. When I shift back into that understanding and I'm in that, it always turns out in my favor. It always turns out better than I could have ever imagined possible. It leads me exactly to being happier somehow, healthier somehow, and a greater, more delicious well-being, even if it was absolutely horrendous on the outside. And by the way, I've had some, if you follow my journey, y'all, if y'all follow me, I've had some absolutely horrendous things happen to me. But when I've held to that understanding, that situation miraculously took a turn. And it took a turn from, and that I know that no matter what, I'm loved and life loves me. And that's all that's happening here. I'm being loved. Now, I may not be being loved in a way that I was asking for necessarily, but I'm being loved in a way that eventually I will be deeply grateful for. And that's what trust is. It is a trust that this universe has my good. This universe has my good in store. It has it in for me. And I don't always understand from this part of my brain how that needs to operate. I think I do. But trust is also releasing my idea of how I think this needs to work out and trusting in this process and trusting, even if the process is uncomfortable right now or even painful right now, I trust. This is also what optimism is. This is why I say optimism over positivity. Optimism, positive. When we go over positivity, where we're so positive, you don't actually accept what's going on, and you don't actually be present what's going on, and you don't actually get the message from what's going on. You try to bypass. But you can go into optimism, which is no matter what it looks like, this is going to work out in my favor. No matter what this is, no matter, yes, this is painful. Yes, this sucks. This really sucks. And I do not prefer this at all. And I'm loved. Life loves me. And so this too is going to serve my highest good. And I'm going to ride it right into that.
Amen, amen, amen. You got the old church boy in me saying, hallelujah.
Come on. Bring those Marines out. Bring them out.
I mean, it's got me quoting the book of Romans. All things work together for the good of them that love the Lord. And trust me, God loves you and you love him. I'm telling you, folks, you're going to want to get the replay. Right now, I want you to tweet, put it on your Facebook status, put it on your mirror in your wall. I am love and life loves me. I am lovable and life loves me. Life loves me. Even if in tragedy, even in pain or sickness, say what you got to say, but you add that tagline, I am loved by life. Even if you don't feel like you are, you speak it. I like what Jerome did. He gave me, notice how the wise teachers are, wisdom on how they handle things. Notice how when I said a breakup, now already as being someone that's really wise in the power of wording and the power of energy, notice how he came in and he cleared that language up for me. He gave a little insight to that language. And that's what a true teacher will do. They'll go back in without embarrassing you, without even really making you look small, but they'll just shed that light. And so one of the things I love about Jerome, even in this episode on Higher Realms, is notice how he chooses his words. Notice how he chooses his language. And so when I said break up, he went back and said completion. And so there's a big difference there, but that breakup has that energy of destruction, of pain, tearing apart, where completion has a sense of the season has come to its ending, but God bless it. It's time well served. And so a great reminder to me and a great reminder to all of us, even when we're complaining about our problems, even when we're venting our feelings, and it's okay to share feelings, make sure you're still listening to the words come out of your mouth, and make sure that we bring those to a higher level that empowers us instead of maybe leaving us stuck. Now, don't get me wrong. Sometimes it may feel better in the moment. That I'm going to break his mother effing. Sometimes you got to say, you know what? It served its purpose. I've learned to love myself. I've learned to let go. And so thank you, Jerome, for that. We got another 10 minutes. And I'm telling you, if you haven't been to his website, I want you to go to the website tonight. Go there this week. Look at Self-Love Academy. I'm definitely going to be looking into it. He's on Facebook. Is it your name, Jerome Braggs, on Facebook, Jerome?
Yes.
Look him up on Facebook. Look him up on his fan page. Follow him. And when you do, I want you to harass him. Oh, that's a bad word. I want you to bless him this week and say, I saw you on Higher Realms. Man, you were phenomenal. And even though he doesn't need that validation, I definitely wanted to give it. And so, Jerome, anything else? We got another 10 minutes here, so just feel free to whatever's on your heart, brother.
Yeah, I like the flow of the conversation. So there's something you brought up there again that I kind of want to
clean it up.
Well, I'm not going to clean it up. I don't want to clean it up, but I just want to piggyback on it. I want to circle back to it. One of the things that I've learned in my journey that I offer, that I teach my clients, and they've received a lot of healing and transformation from it, is one of the things that will help you really see the completion of a relationship and really open yourself to the next level of relationships that this relationship came to help you go to, is once that relationship is complete, once it is ended, take some time, get out a pen and paper, and ask yourself, how was I expanded from this relationship? How did I grow? What did I learn about what I want from myself? What did I learn about what I now don't want from myself anymore? What's not acceptable for me? What's not delicious for me? What have I learned about myself? What have I learned that I want? What have I learned about my talents or my strengths? What have I learned about where I need to love myself more here? What does this show me about where I need to love myself more? And what does this let me to know that I want more of in my life? Like, this relationship came to show you, as all relationships do, your soul, relationships are also classrooms. They're classrooms where our soul brings us to help us, not necessarily like you're sitting there like you need to learn a lesson and pass a grade, but they're classrooms in the true form of what a classroom it actually is where you're to develop skill sets. And so you've developed something to help you expand into higher experiences of well-being. So this relationship, even though it may have been painful, or if it was painful, what about that relationship did you now know that you no longer want for yourself? Right? Because you probably weren't clear about that before. You probably weren't putting a stake in the sand to say, this is not what I'm going to accept for myself anymore. I'm worthy of better. This relationship came to help you see that and to finally put this stake in the sand. Or maybe you learned something. Like for me, in my relationships now, I learned something now. Like the partners I have, they may have, like, for instance, the last partner I had, which was a few years ago, but the last partner I had a very spiritual home. Like, get crystals everywhere and incense everywhere, candles everywhere. And I did not know that that was really what I wanted for myself until I got into that relationship. And I saw it and I said, oh, my home is not as sacred as I want it to be.
Mm.
And I began to add elements into my home to make it more sacred feeling to me. And I feel so much like me now. And I have that relationship to thank for that. It wasn't, that person didn't come in and say, hey, you need to do this. It was something I became aware of in the relationship. I said, oh, this made me aware of this. This is why I like to go to their house more than I like them to come over my house. I wanted to change myself. And so the relationship is really about helping you expand in the love energy that you are and express the love energy that you are to someone else. So the way to help you complete that is to really, instead of looking at what was wrong, look at what went right here. What made this, what did this make you become clear that you really want for yourself and that you no longer want for yourself? And what changes do you need to make in your own being so that you can experience a higher level of life now? And as you begin to make those changes, you open yourself up to higher levels of love. And the next relationship that comes is going to be so in alignment with that and so in resonance with you, not because you didn't deserve it before, but that you weren't as open yet. And you have that relationship to thank for opening you up to a higher level of love.
Man, I'm loving all of this. I love what you really said earlier too. You know, don't hold back yourself. If you really want that soulmate or that real hard connection, you got to let it out there. You got to be proud and let it all out there, because that's going to attract the person that truly is going to love you, that you want to feel. I do teach sometimes, Jerome, that when people do have a completion in a relationship, that a lot of times in karmic relationships, we get attracted to people that have traits that we're weak in. And that's why there's that drawing, is because there's a trait in that individual that we are needing to strengthen ourselves. And usually that trait's to an extreme. So usually where we're lacking in a trait, that other person can have it in an extreme. And there's like, okay, there's something about this person. And what's going on is the universe, source, yourself, when you talk about expanding, is when you do have that completion, sit down and ask yourself, what were the one or two traits of my partner, my boyfriend, my girlfriend, my lover, that they were really good at, that maybe I was lacking in my life, and being around them, I could see how that trait operates. And then now maybe I can start working on that trait myself and increase that character trait myself. So I'm not necessarily attracting someone else in a karmic way to build up an area I'm weak, because I've already built myself up in that area. So now I'm looking for more of a compatibility on a partnership level than just necessarily two people on a teaching level only.
Yeah, I love that. You know, I call it integration.
Thank you.
I love it. That's just what I call it. You're calling it was perfect. But we attract people for many reasons, and one of the reasons that relationships are attracted, we attract certain relationships and certain partners in our relationship, is because they have a piece of consciousness and vibration that we are needing to integrate into ourselves some type of way, so that we can become a fuller expression of our soul's energy. We can shine the light of our soul more fully in the world. And that may be that person, it may be they trust life. It may be something about their security and their relationship to money. It may be something, but how they were, the reason we drew that person to us was so that we could view it up close. And we can begin to integrate that into our own being. And that's another piece of that with the completion, is what did I learn from them? Like you just said, you've said it so beautifully. What did I learn from them? What was it about them I really liked that I'd like to add into my life? Like I told you about the house. For me, there's been several other things with partners about how they were in the world, how they expressed their personality, how they were in their freedom, how they were in many different aspects. And as you do that, you begin to see the relationships of staircases.
Mm-hmm.
They lead you to higher and higher levels. If you will integrate, if you would take the step, you will, because what you're doing is you're going to higher and higher levels of love. So you'll integrate this, and then you go to a higher level. And then you may go to another, you may get another relationship that's integrated that may not be a forever relationship, but temporary, but it helps you integrate to another level. And then you finally get, if that's what you're wanting is a forever relationship, then you're ready for a partner that can help you integrate more and take the steps together for the years, if that's what you want. But you stop looking at your relationships as failures.
Yes.
And you stop looking at them as because they didn't last as long as you wanted, that they were fake. You start to understand, oh, this lasted as long as it needed to last to help me integrate this. They came for this purpose. I am grateful to them. I will forever be grateful for them. I enjoyed them. And even if I really liked them and it ended before I thought it should, I understand it ended when it needed to. And now I can believe, because I remember life loves me, that there's better coming. There's always better coming. There's another person who's going to lead me to a higher level of expansion into well-being than before. And if this person is not here to help me do that, then that was not the person who was going to help me do that. Life is only, ever, always trying to love me more, not less.
Man, I'm loving this. I'm telling you, folks, the one person I have a relationship with ever is myself. I plan on being on a long-term committed relationship with myself, and of course, allowing others into that equation. Jerome, I cannot tell you how much I have thoroughly enjoyed this. You have not disappointed at all in the least. And so I definitely want people to go to that website, look at his teachings, go to his Facebook, start following him, because when you're working on self-love, it doesn't happen overnight. You need to get these constant reminders, this constant download. And so you definitely want to start following him. If you like me, I'm asking you to follow Jerome Braggs. Go to jeromebraggs.com. You're going to do the world a whole lot. You're going to feel a lot better. I wrote a book years ago called Your Soul Story, How to Create the Life You've Always Wanted. And it deals with a lot of things around self-love, self-worth. But I love the eloquence that comes off your tongue, sir. I can listen to you. You have a way with words. There was a minister that used to have, I don't know if you ever heard of Carlton Pearson, but Brother Pearson has a way with words. And it's not that you're like Brother Pearson, but that tongue is like, they said in the book of Solomon, my tongue's like a ready pen of a poet, and it just flows from you. And I definitely want to get you back on the show. And the other reasons why I want to get him on the show, and I can say this too, is if you ever watch some of his Facebook stuff, whether you're straight, gay, bi, trans, it doesn't matter. This man has a sensuality. Just I'm not saying dirty or nasty, but such it's heal. I believe he could heal. If you have trouble in the private life of sexuality, I believe having a one-on-one talk with this man could heal a lot of the insecurities or the pain or the rejection. I would definitely at one time look at doing this because there's so many things tied up in society, in our religions, in our upbringing that shame our body, that shame our experience, that shame our self-worth. And every time I watch what you write on Facebook, I always leave with a little less shame and a lot more love. And I just really, really wanted to thank you, Jerome, from the bottom of my heart. We got one more minute. I'll give you a chance to say goodbye, or so long for now.
Well, thank you. Thank you for having me here. Thank you. Your words have just expanded me. They have really expanded my light. I feel very, very honored by them. And all who are watching, thank you. Yeah. Thank you.
All right.
Self-love is truly the way, you guys. It really is.
Jerome Braggs here on Higher Realms. Go show this with all your friends. Go to his website and let's fill up that class in October with the Self-Love Academy. Namaste, Jerome. See you everyone next Tuesday at 8 p.m. Goodbye.
Become a Goldilocks Productions VIP patron. Receive exclusive access to live stream special and other epic perks. Join the Goldilocks Productions VIP community today.